All right, everyone, let's talk about something absolutely wild. But first, a huge disclaimer. Do not try this. Seriously, what I'm about to describe is incredibly dangerous, potentially lethal, and is being shared for informational and storytelling purposes only. Just enjoy the story. I repeat, this is highly dangerous and could have fatal consequences, so please do not attempt to replicate any of this. The story revolves around a figure known as Zero, who claimed to have built a time machine. His experiments had severe, life-threatening side effects, and the process itself is a recipe for disaster. So, how did he supposedly do it? Let's break down his alleged design. The heart of his machine was what he called the core, which was essentially a modified Jacob's ladder. If you've ever seen one in an old science fiction movie, it's that device where a high-voltage electrical arc climbs up between two metal rods. Zero's modification was unique. He used a laser, reportedly from a CD player, and aimed it at the air between the rods. His theory was that the laser would reduce the air's resistance, making it easier for the electricity to arc and helping to stabilize the resultant plasma. After doing this, he reported seeing something strange, a vortex-shaped heat mark, or what he described as an orb of distorted air, forming just above the device. This was the first hint that something unusual was happening. Of course, to create an effect like that, you need an immense amount of power. A standard wall outlet isn't going to cut it. Zero needed a massive high-voltage power supply to scale up the effect. He began sourcing and connecting several heavy-duty, high-voltage transformers. His goal was to create a power source capable of outputting 20,000 volts or even more. The idea was that this immense voltage would generate an electromagnetic field powerful enough to manipulate space-time, or at least that was the theory he was working with. This part of the setup alone is where the extreme danger really kicks in. We're talking about lethal levels of electricity that are not to be trifled with. Now, anyone who's worked with plasma knows it's incredibly unstable. It's affected by everything in the surrounding environment: moisture in the air, temperature, even atmospheric pressure. To get a consistent result, Zero needed to control these variables. His first attempt at atmospheric control involved using more lasers. He would aim them at the air directly above the device to heat it, trying to create a pocket of air with a constant temperature and pressure. This was his way of trying to stabilize the vortex. But this wasn't enough. He eventually decided to enclose the entire project within a large metal structure. This not only helped isolate the air inside, but also, he believed, helped to focus the energy being generated by the machine, creating a more concentrated and powerful effect. With the machine built, it was time for experimental testing. Zero started small. He began dropping various objects into the shimmering orb of distorted air he had created. Over time, he claimed to have tested around 200 different items. One of his most notable observations involved a simple sheet metal screw. He reported that when he threw the screw into the orb, it would vanish for just a fraction of a second. Then it would reappear a few feet away, but with a slight delay, almost as if it had been displaced in both space and time. These small successes emboldened him, leading to the ultimate test. In what can only be described as an act of extreme recklessness, Zero claimed he stepped into the machine himself, which he called the hammer and anvil. The result? He claimed he was instantly transported 800 miles away, ending up in Ohio. But here's the kicker. When he arrived, he had a 2-year memory gap. He had no recollection of the intervening time. Again, I cannot stress this enough. Replicating these experiments involves lethal voltages and would likely require illegal modifications to the electrical grid. High-voltage plasma also generates harmful levels of ozone gas and dangerous amounts of ultraviolet radiation. This is not a DIY project. It's a fascinating story, but that's all it should be. Please do not try this at home or anywhere else. Thanks for listening. And if you enjoy exploring these kinds of strange and fascinating stories, be sure to follow for more. Stay safe out there.